Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name's Mark Littler and I am the owner and editor-in-chief of The Whiskey Wash. I also run Mark Littler Limited. I also have several other companies, but The Whiskey Wash and Mark Littler Limited are my whiskey outlets. So welcome to the channel. Now, there has been less videos on this channel for sure since I took over The Whiskey Wash, but we're getting up to 500,000 visitors each month now. So if you want to learn all about the whiskey news or the latest releases, look at reviews and also lots of incredible stories, make sure you check The Whiskey Wash out. Now, today, what are we looking at? Long-time viewers of the channel will know that as part of Mark Littler Limited, we have a retail shop that we can sell bottles on. And we have got 4 really interesting bottles of Macallan. And I just thought we'd take a look at them today because they're all a little bit different and we know the markets are soft at the moment. So now is potentially a good time to start stocking up on some of these whiskies that have come down a lot in price, comparatively speaking, over the past few years. Now, the first one that we're going to look at is cheap. Is it cheap? Yeah, it's cheap. It's £518, free worldwide shipping on this. We ship to the USA, we ship to the UK. So, and here it is. It is the Macallan 18-year-old. And it's from the Paulsen Collection. Now, this is a bottling by Murray McDavid. So it's an independent bottling of Macallan, but it's quite interesting. So it's 19, so it's released in, well, I'm gonna do some terrible maths today. So it's 1990 plus 18, it was released in 2008. So I've got my calculator here, 2024 minus 2008. I'm useless at maths. It's been on the market 16 years, people, and it's still only £518. If you can find them. They're very rare at retail. So let's have a look at it. So it's in this really nice presentation box. And then inside we have the bottle itself, which is a square bottling. Now, anyone who likes independent bottlings in Scotch might recognize this sort of bottle shape. I think the Single Cask, I think it's called, Ben Curtis's brand, has whiskey in these shapes of bottles. But this one is, like we say, it's a 1990, 18-year-old Macallan that was independently bottled. Now, it's interesting because it's not your straightforward Macallan cask. I believe it's finished in Italian Amarone casks. Yes, it is. Yeah. So it's an Amarone cask finish. And this Paulsen Collection, it celebrates Frederick Paulsen, who did a lot of exploring. And it's all celebrated here inside the box here. So I think he was one of the first men to cross the Bering Strait in a little aircraft and things like that. So, but it just really is a nice bottle of whiskey. You know, limited edition bottle, number of bottles. There's only 480 bottles in this one. And this is bottle 103 of 480. So it's just a nice limited edition, pretty unique for an independent bottling of Macallan. So there you go, £518. I'm going to put the label back on later. Never mind doing that now. So let's jump up a bit because Macallan, are more known for their sort of mega premium bottlings. And I'm going to go to one of my favourite bottlings of Macallan, and it's Macallan. So of course it's not got an age statement on it, but doesn't matter. We have got the Macallan Coronation bottling. Now, this set was designed by David Holmes. So David Holmes is the man. I'm going to do a load more on him on this channel soon. David Holmes is the man who basically got Macallan to where they are today. He is the one that's responsible for all the advertising that Macallan did in the early 1990s and 2000s to get that brand into the position where you guys out there all know and love it. So first things first, it's a beautiful slip case. And let's just come on, open, there we go. And inside the case, you have these 2 incredible bottles of whiskey and some presentation information in here. Now, if we take these up and open each one at a time. Now, there's 2 different styles of Macallan in here. One of them is, let me just get this bottle out here, a much lighter finish compared to the other one. Now, this is meant to represent the monarch, Queen Elizabeth, in 2 different phases of her life and her time. So in terms of, the first one, this is matured in American oak sherry casks and bottled at 55.7% ABV. So this is apparently meant to be a lot more lively of a whiskey than the traditional one, which we'll get to next. So it's meant to represent the Queen in her early part of the career. And obviously you can see on the front here, this is the image of the Queen by Cecil Beaton. So now he was very, famed for his portraits of the royal family. And in this one, Elizabeth is 27 years old and it represents her on the day of her coronation. So it really is a super little bottle. You'll notice that these are only half bottles, so only 350 millilitres in size, and they're all sealed with wax on the top. Now, the second bottling in here, and again, this I'll try to put this up and not drop them. You can see it's got like this lovely plush velvet interior, so very regal indeed. Now, the other bottling here, this is one to represent the Queen in her later life. This is a traditional sort of like Oloroso finished Macallan, and it's at 58.1% ABV. And the illustration on the front this time is by Julian Calder, and it was taken in 2004 and shows the Queen obviously in her later years of life. And it just really is a really nice presentation set of whiskey. Now, if you've watched our best whiskey investments of 2024 video, one of the bottles that we put in there was the Dalmore Luminary series, which was a limited edition of 20,000 bottles. Is that limited? Potentially limited to how many they're going to sell, but still limited. This set was only limited to 1,953, and answers in the comments below if you can recognize the symbolism of 1953. Now, inside here, we also get this little folder, which gives you a bit more information about the portraits. And again, this is like the pomp and ceremony of the British crown at its best, celebrated by Macallan, who are obviously massively famed for doing so many royal bottlings. And did you know the man who was behind all of the Macallan royal bottlings, every single one of them? David Holmes. So this is an absolutely brilliant set. And at the moment, £3,365 we've got this on, with free worldwide shipping. We can ship to the US for that price, etc. It really is a bargain. At one point, these had gone up to sort of £6,000-7,000 per set. So right now is a really good time to buy these. I personally have got 2 of these sets in my collection that I paid over £5,000 for. But I don't care. This is a great set, and I have confidence that this will be a very good long-term hold, especially when people start looking past the folios in terms of how rare and how good these sets are. So there you go. There's our second bottling. Now, the next one, we're kind of going to go back in time a bit. And this one is, whereas that set was super beautiful, this one, could you call it beautiful? I'd call it cool. Cool as hell. It's this. It's a Macallan. It's a trio set, and like the last bottling, these are not full-size bottlings. These are 35 centilitre bottles. But let's just show you how this opens. So you've got some little flimsy cardboard here, and then open the drawer, and out comes 3 amazing bottles of Macallan from around the early 2000s. Now, let's take a look at them in turn. You have got the Macallan straight up 10-year-old, the old style one. Again, if you're looking for a review on this whiskey, head over to the Whiskey Wash, because we reviewed not this particular one, obviously, because this one's sealed, but we reviewed a Macallan 10-year-old from this age on the Whiskey Wash, so head over to there. But it really is a gorgeous bottle, but nothing too different, but the other ones are. Now, again, look, this is ridiculously priced. I say ridiculously priced because it's priced at more than the Coronation set, $3,538. Now, while there have been several hundred of those Coronation sets sold, there's only been, I can only find 1 or 2 of these trio sets ever being sold. Now, the next one that we've got in here is the Macallan Cask Strength. Now, name me any other Macallan Cask Strength bottlings out there. They did this Cask Strength range, which again, I think started in the 1990s and ran into the early 2000s. You've got the Exceptional Cask series, that's all at Cask Strength. And then you have the Elkies, the Easter Elkies bottlings, they're all at Cask Strength too. It just doesn't make sense for Macallan to do many Cask Strength bottlings because, one, consumers are not necessarily agreeable to Cask Strength bottlings. You know, this one is at 58.5% ABV, which will have a heck of a kick compared to your normal sort of like 40% ABV or 46% ABV. And what's interesting here on the Cask Strength here, there's a little correction. They put a little pricing correction over this on the box. So they must have not known this Cask Strength when it was bottled. Now, finally, the last bottle in this set is, again, another one that all you geeks out there will know and love. It's the Macallan Elegancia, and this was a travel retail specific bottling, often in litre bottles. I think there's 1990 and 1991 editions that look very similar to this. And then you've also got a 1992 edition where the livery changes. But essentially this is quite interesting because it's a mix of, as you can see here, Fino and Oloroso casks. And obviously Macallan are famed for their Oloroso casks rather than their Fino or any other cask finish really. So it was quite unique. Now, the full-size bottles of that Elegancia 1991 retail or go at auction for up to £1,000. So this is kind of one for the, I've got every single bottling of Macallan out there, so let's get something that I've not got sort of fan. Now, the next bottle is one that every Macallan collection needs to have, in my opinion. It's kind of the OG of the Macallan core range, or probably the god tier or the halo of the core range bottlings. And that is, of course, the Macallan 30-year-old Sherry Oak. This blue bottle, this blue box is from the late 1990s, early 2000s. Now, we've done a full video on this bottle on the channel. So if you're interested in learning in a massive amount of detail about this, there is another video for you to go and find. But this one today is priced at £6,698. Is that a lot of money? Well, hang on a minute. Let's look at the pricing history on this one because this is interesting. So it was released in about 1998 and you could go out and buy it retail for about £175. Demand was pretty tight, so most people ended up paying about £250, £300 a bottle for it by the time they'd put down deposits and stuff. And last year, 2023, when the market was still in a downward phase, it was selling at auction for over £8,000 a bottle. Now, if you look at the evolution of that pricing, it was 1998, 175. In 2004, it was selling at 150. So basically selling at a loss. 2009, oh, hang on, the market's getting going, £600. 2014, £1,500, 10 years ago. 2018, we jumped to £5,000. 2022, between £7,500 and £8,000. And then this year, the auctions have stabilized a bit. We have seen this correction. And again, we're doing a video on that very, very soon. But why the markets have rounded and done this sort of shape, they've come back down. And this is really, really well priced, £6,698. You would struggle potentially to get it at auction at that price, depending on the date. So this is a really fantastic bottle. Now, it's blue, obviously, and that's how you define it against one of the older bottlings of it, the more recent bottlings of it. The more recent ones have got all these super duper fancy cases. And it is very, it looks completely different to any other Macallan that came out from around this time, although it looks identical to them in many ways. This blue really does make it stand out. And it is one of the OG Macallans. And I say every collection should have this because this is one of the key amazing bottles that has ever been come out from Macallan. And what's interesting with this one is that you've got more pricing stability. It's not like the Macallan folios, for instance, that shot up to infinity and have plummeted back down to earth again. This has had a very long 26-year-old history in the market. So it really is something super special. So there you go. There are 4 bottles of Macallan, not quite for every budget, but that 18-year-old is a really rare bottling. And you know what? Macallan, unfortunately, that is the state of the market. But these are all brilliant buys for any collection, and you can find them all on marklittler.com or thewhiskeywash.com.